Welcome back to Talking Water with SwitchWaterSupplier.com. I'm David Eason. That is Graham Mann.
Hello.
Hello. We are going to talk about, we talk about the water industry anyway, but this is a discussion which will be centred on the water industry and the future for it in the near to middle future as to the way this is going to be run in England particularly, but also Scotland and Wales too. And I know it's something that you're particularly... Is worried this too strong a word about particularly the way that companies like Thames Water, I'm going to put that one out there first. Thames Water has been on the edge for quite a long time. It keeps coming up saying, well, we've got 24 hours, 48 hours to just continue. We still have a Thames Water as we speak. But what's going to happen to it and the water industry should it fail?
Well, there's speculation abounds through the media and through political circles. We can only guess. We have opinions, but yeah, there's been a parliamentary motion for public ownership of the water industry per se. I think this has been driven by the financial challenges for Thames Water. I think they're going to run out of cash apparently in May of next year. But it's also been exasperated by the fact that there's a huge amount of pressure on Thames Water for the discharge of untreated sewage into our waterways, the Thames. Some areas of the Thames are 200 times over the legal limit for content of all sorts of bugs and raw sewage. It's well documented in the media. Fergal Sharkey, the pop star from the 1970s, is leading that media challenge, and he's doing a very good job of it. But so they're getting hit from environmental sustainability and service, and there's the cost aspect as well. They are in trouble. But what concerns me now is that we just don't tar all the water companies with the same brush. It's fine to have a look at the finances and all other water companies, in accordance with the stats that I'm seeing in the media, are guilty at some point in time, if not on a regular basis, of discharging raw sewage into the streams and rivers of England and Wales. So it's not very nice. We want to play in our rivers and streams during the summer. It is dangerous. There are huge chemicals. And there's wet wipes and God knows what in the rivers, and I've seen it with my own eyes. And it is seriously affecting our environment. So, it's I am concerned because we're in this business, albeit we work on the retail side. But it is important that the retail market stays stable so that companies and businesses like ourselves and others can invest in the water industry to make it more efficient and focus on water sustainability. I wouldn't want it to just be going to public ownership and be utter chaos, which I'm just they've got to sort Thames Water out, and how they do that is waits to be seen. But within the next 6 to 9 months, I think we'll know what's happening with Thames Water's finances, and it's probably going to go into special measures.
Well, yes, two things that came up this week in Parliament. One is from the King's Speech, which is an actual bill, which is the Water Special Measures Bill, which is, at the highlight of it here, the government will introduce a bill to put water companies under tough special measures to strengthen regulation as a first step to clean up our rivers, lakes and seas. The Water Special Measures Bill will strengthen regulation to ensure water bosses face personal criminal liability for law breaking. So it sounds pretty strong when it's worded. Giving the water regulator new powers to ban the payment of bonuses if environmental standards are not met. A lot of this is the old. It's a private business, isn't it? But it deals with the public, and this is part of what privatisation has brought us, which is the public working face to face with private company who, as a private company, they make profit. Their profit goes to their shareholders. They also do invest in what they're doing as a business, but it's that balancing it out, isn't it? Are they investing enough, or is the money going to shareholders?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, David. There's wheels within wheels, and businesses are are not always what we think or hope. On the fringes, particularly the water industry, we hold it dear to our heart. We can't live without water. One could say that why did we deregulate the market in the first place? There's been pluses and minuses for that. I think businesses and the environment have benefited hugely from deregulation, with the focus now on water sustainability, water efficiency, driving down costs and sorting leakage out. So I think that's a huge plus for businesses, not only on the cost reduction side, but also on the less water used and less wastewater discharged, which is creating a situation where, with a combination of high rainfall and increased wastewater discharges by business and residential customers, that the sewage treatment works are becoming overloaded. And when you get heavy rainfall mixing with the sewage, it's got to go somewhere, and so it's discharged through emergency measures into our environment. I think where we have issues with this is that it seems to be, in accordance with what we see on the media and all the videos for all to see, that the water companies are discharging untreated sewage into our environment outside of the permitted times. And it's more or less continual. I mean, I've seen the stats. They're absolutely off the scale. Windermere is a prime example there, where they've actually filmed the sewage is going in on a regular basis continually, and that's a site of special scientific interest. And you can't blame people for wanting to protect that. And I'm just absolutely amazed that it's been allowed to continue, but there must be huge challenges for these companies to manage the increased wastewater discharge and surface water discharges into the environment. How do they balance that out and invest in the future to get this waste away, treated in a more environmentally friendly way?
Another thing that was brought up in Parliament that's about around the same time was an early day motion from the Green Party, who now have 4 MPs on the back of the election. So the early day motion, also backed by, I think, Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell, so they were the 6 people who put it forward, was specifically about Thames Water and wanting answers from the government to have a debate, at least, to say that if Thames Water did go under, then there wouldn't be a massive publicly funded bailout in the way that there was with the banks around 2008, 2009, to just keep it up. And it needs to actually, you have to look at the whole industry and probably bring it either back into public management or to renegotiate the terms of the industry as a whole, which I think is something that you could see happening. Both of those could happen, but do you think maybe actually being able to move the water industry to something that approaches what the gas and electric utilities industry looks like might be where this goes? Because the thing with the water industry is, and we've all looked at it when we've looked at our water bills, is that's not a market when you, as a residential customer, you can't switch. Whereas we know with companies, with businesses, you can through switchwatersupply.com. Remember that. But as a residential market, there isn't really a market.
No, I've been tempted to push out some content with regards to the residential water market, because we are getting an increased amount of customers that are cheesed off with a particular.
So they're calling you.
So they're calling me, and I actually can't switch. Why not? And then I end up having a 20 or 30 minute heated discussion with a residential customer who's thoroughly fed up with their existing supplier and absolutely frustrated, as are the rest of the street, because we can't switch away from this ridiculous beep water company. So
I'm going to ask a question now. This has just popped into my head. Right. You say you live in a cul-de-sac. Let's call it Brookside Close. Could you set up a company, Brookside Close Limited, and start your own water company that brings in water to the houses on your street?
No.
You see?
No.
I'm the ideas man. That's all I am.
I mean, I suppose theoretically, there's no reason why they can't allow an injection of competition into the household market. I think it'd be a fantastic idea. We've gone down that road with gas and power. We've gone down deregulation with the business, the non-household market, and it's working. It's not perfect, but it's improving. There are huge benefits from this move. It's that we're only into our 7th year. I think Scotland's into their 12th, something like that. But why not? Why can't they create open up the residential market and have Thames Water as the wholesaler, which they are now, and then they don't bill any more customers, and the government then asks for companies who are interested to set up separate water retailers that can service specific areas of London, and I think that would be perhaps a good idea. And rather than Thames Water having to concentrate their efforts on billing customers, all they do is they do concentrate on the infrastructure, the supply of water, and all the things that they're responsible for. But the customer side is then taken over by the water retail market. And I think there's an opportunity here to maybe look at that rather than saying, "Oh, we're taking Thames Water into special measures." Why not use it as maybe a platform for looking at the possibility of opening up the London area, or the areas that are served by London, and model it out for a potential deregulation in the residential market. I think a lot of customers would welcome that because they don't want to deal with Thames Water. They absolutely don't.
The other side of that might be, and we're seeing GB Energy coming in,
absolutely,
under the new government. That was also in the King's speech. Is there scope for one of those companies, or whether it might be the one company, to say, well, GB Water, take it totally back into control, or for that company to work in the market? Weirdly, I mean, is there an in between where you could say, well, GB Water will work. It's owned by the government. But it'll step into the market. It's not going to make any profits because it's owned by the government. That would be a weird thing to have in a marketplace. But could it be there?
There's endless possibilities. You just need to make sure that the government take advice from those at the coalface of the water industry. I'm not saying not just me, but there are hundreds of different professionals out there who've got decades of experience in the market. But I definitely think there's an opportunity to open up the residential market. Those that will be cowering in the corner saying, "Oh my God, there's challenges in the business market, and so now you want to open up the residential market." Why not? Why not? I think there's endless possibilities, and this might be the catalyst for change. So, in a sense, I do welcome this. It focuses the water industry right there, and shines a spotlight on the water companies. And unfortunately, I think both from a service level and an environmental and a business level, I think it's good news. We'll just have to see how it pans out.
Yeah, we'll see. Whether the gas and electric market may not have been perfect, and certainly in the last few years it hasn't, due to outside effects. But you would hope that the water industry, if it went down that route, would learn some of the lessons of the gas and electric industry. My fear is that they wouldn't, and it would be a bit more of the kind of the Wild West that it may have been for gas and electric. But there are lessons to learn from those utilities if you were to move into residential water.
One of the lessons, hopefully they'll learn, if this is the route they want to take, is to make sure that the market is ready, because when the market opened up in 2017, April 1st, the market wasn't ready, and I think there was political pressure on the regulator to open up a market, specifically on the market data. So all of the data for 1.2 million customers wasn't really in a place that they could open the market and not have effectively lots and lots of challenges. One of the biggest issues in this market now is incorrect market data, and that market data is held by the wholesale market, and retailers use this market data to send bills out to their customers. And if that market data is incorrect, the customer is going to get an incorrect bill. And one of the biggest issues in this market today is incorrect billing, mostly overcharging, some undercharging, which again is creating a huge problem for a business further down the line. All of a sudden the water company say, "Oh, we haven't been billing you for X, Y, Z, here's a bill for 50 grand. And we're seeing them, we're just seeing them. it creates issues. So they need to get it right this time. Learn the lessons of the non-household market and apply what you've learnt to the residential market and some. And I think it could work. I'd welcome it. Absolutely, it has my vote.
There you go. The tick in the box there from Graham Mann of switchwatersupplier.com. Join us for more water industry news next time on Talking Water.